So I was sitting on a stool today, doing my job at work this morning, and after a crazy week, I literally started falling over and over and over again. I felt like Hillary Clinton at a September 11th rally. I'm Brian Crawford. You're listening to the River's Edge Radio Network, Pittsburgh's voice for local music, here in the beautiful, beautiful Millvale Studios. How could you get any better than the beautiful Millvale Studios? I love it here. It's great. You should stop on by and check out all of the great artwork we have available here at Millvale Studios. It's a great place, and there's actually places available if you're an artist. You can actually rent out a space to be part of this awesome community here at Millvale Studios. Just shoot us a message at riversedgepgh.com and we'll get you hooked up. If you're watching on Facebook, you can listen to us 24 hours a day at riversedgepgh.com, powered by NJL WebTech. Honest, practical, and affordable. Go to njlwebtech.com for all of your web servicing needs. Literally, Hillary Clinton collapsed at a rally. Just doesn't end with Hillary Clinton. And, you know, people, it's actually kind of sick. People are on Facebook kind of celebrating the fact that this woman is sick. And I don't want her as president. I really don't want Donald Trump as president either. But even if it's somebody I don't like, I'm not going to just celebrate, woo, them being sick. That just seems kind of disgusting in and of itself, in my opinion. But yeah, she collapsed. There's a video. She literally tumbled forward and people had to catch her. And I just wonder if it's because she just doesn't have enough sleep. Because I literally was falling over today at work, and it's a miracle I got this show together. In fact, I had a meeting the other day. We have an event coming up. It's breaking news. You have to stay tuned until after the weird news segment. We have a weird news segment for you about a crazy, crazy breaking and entering case that you want to stay tuned for. But I was supposed to have this meeting, and I sat on my couch, and I woke up, and it was like 8:30 at night. The meeting was at 7 p.m. I'm like, oh no. So I rapidly emailed everybody the next morning because I had to get straight to work. As you know, I work overnight. And I literally just passed out sitting on the couch. That's how tired I was. Today I'm at work, literally trying to do my job, sitting on the stool, and I'm just falling over. So I can relate to Hillary Clinton. They say she has pneumonia, and people are making a bigger deal out of this than I feel that they should. Not that her health isn't an important issue as somebody who is running for commander-in-chief. That's definitely a big issue. What isn't a big issue is the fact that people are saying that she's and she is untrustworthy. I mean, she's a lying bitch. But people are saying she is untrustworthy because she said she felt fine. Well, what is she supposed to say? Oh, I feel like, hell, I'm going through pneumonia. I mean, to me, your medical condition is a private issue. And I don't think that she I don't know. I just don't I don't see a problem with her not running to the press and screaming, "Hey, I've got a medical condition. Ooh, I'm sick." That's just not something I would do personally, and it has nothing to do with me running or not running for office. It's just I just don't tell people these things. I am the type where if I'm sick, if I'm hurt, leave me the hell alone. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk to you about it. It's just the way it is. So I don't blame her for that one, and everyone's jumping over her for that one. I mean, there's plenty of things to be bringing down on the Clintons. I mean, it's not like she doesn't have her share of scandals. So, I don't know. Give the lady a break. Today is today's the 12th. Yesterday was September 11th. And, of course, everyone put their statuses up on Facebook, and it was a terrible time in United States history. And it's weird as somebody who... I was in high school when September 11th happened, and our entire existence, people who are in who are millennials, it was in some ways shaped by September 11th. And it's weird for those of you of the older generation. Yours was shaped by Pearl Harbor or the other events in history. There's certain events in history that just completely change the direction of the nation and where we have gone and what we have experienced. And 9/11 was certainly one of those cases. I was watching a weird video yesterday. I was on break at work, and I don't know why, it just popped in my mind. I thought I wanted to see it. I often heard about the Spider-Man trailer, and I decided to take a look myself at the Spider-Man trailer that came out. I don't know if it actually aired. I think they pulled it before it aired, or it may have aired and they cut it. But there was a really cool scene in Spider-Man that had a helicopter that was being pulled backwards, and it was pulled backwards and flung into a net, and it was a web, rather, and it was a web that was drawn between the Twin Towers, and of course 9/11 happened, and they had to pull that promo, but it was a really cool scene, and it's just interesting how iconic those towers were. Living here in Pittsburgh, we have such a small city that each one of our buildings, first off, all of our buildings are unique. There aren't any buildings in Pittsburgh that are alike, that are like one another. And I think we're very fortunate and blessed in that sense that we have so much beautiful architecture to look at. And stay tuned, there's going to be a Culture Cruise episode that will address some of the differences in these buildings. So stay tuned for that. That's on the horizon. But all of the buildings are very different and unique and beautiful, and that may be true of New York City. I've never been there, but the city is so expansive and so large that even if it was true, these buildings would get lost in the shuffle. But the Twin Towers did not get lost in the shuffle. They stood out. I remember as a kid, my favorite movie as a child was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live action movie, the first one. The second one was okay. The third one is the movie we shall not speak of. It's like what's the wizard name in Harry Potter? You know who I mean, Voldemort. It's like Voldemort. You don't speak his name. You don't speak the name of the third Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. It's awful. It's like pizza with anchovies. Nothing cool, nothing cowabunga about movie 3. But in movie 1, the very first clip of the movie, the first scene, shot a view of the Twin Towers. It was just so iconic in a city that is just riddled with large buildings. Those two buildings really stood out. So it's just something to think about. Not only, I mean, obviously so many people lost their lives and gave their in that battle, or so many people put their lives on the line, so many emergency responders, that it's such a huge issue. But just the iconic architecture itself was something that really stood out in New York City, and it was so sad. There was a meme that was going on around on Facebook, and I shared it on my Facebook page, and I thought this was really cool. And I don't usually go into a lot of posting about disasters, not because I don't care, but just because everybody does it, and I don't know. I'm not going to go on and write some sort of like poem or something like that. It's just not me. I like to remember things in my own way. I don't feel like I need to publicize my thoughts on a social media forum. I've got this venue which I can use that for. I know I was in high school during 9/11 in class when I heard the news, and we didn't see the TV at first. It seemed like something out of a comic book or something. It just seemed so unbelievable, and so it just seemed like it wasn't real. And it took some time personally for me to realize that this was going on until I saw the images and I saw what was really transpiring in New York City. There was almost a sense of disbelief, or not a sense of disbelief, but a sense of not understanding the situation as a high school student sitting in class, not really understanding, I guess, the whole situation until I actually got to see it. But crazy. But there's a firefighter, and this was cool. He went to a Planet Fitness, and he asked if he could use the stair climber in his full uniform, and he wanted to walk up 110 sets of stairs in his uniform to honor the fallen comrades who passed away trying to save people in the Twin Towers as they were falling. So just some interesting thoughts, interesting stuff there. It's just been such a crazy week. This last week, so here's the way it works with my work schedule. I work overnight, as you know. But when you work overnight, you don't want to lose the whole day off. So what I end up doing is my first day off, I stay up for 24 hours so that way I can have the entire day. And then coming off of that 2-day off break that I get, you get into a normal sleep schedule. So then you wake up early. And it's kind of nice because it's like you get a third day off, but then you stay up for 24 hours again because you wake up early and you work until the next morning. Well, with the holiday schedule, that my schedule was all changed around, so I had like Wednesday, Thursday off. I went back Friday. I was off Saturday, went back Monday, Tuesday, and then, wait, was that it? Something like that. Anyways, I was like up for 24 hours like 5 times in a week span. It was awful, so I'm just exhausted. And I may actually sleep my day off away for the first time in a long, long time. It was crazy. I'm going to try and get Matt Gajtka on. I was supposed to take a break, but I was just talking, and I was having a good time. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you give me a call. I'm Brian Crawford here on the River's Edge Radio Network. I am the most interesting man in DeBurgh, and you can have an interesting conversation with me by hitting me up on Twitter at RiverTalkPGH, or you can call the studio, actually, at 412-407 2PGH. That is 412-407-2744. It's gonna see if we can get Matt on the phone. See, this is why I need a producer, so the producer can make these phone calls, and I don't have to take a break to take a call. That would be wonderful. But unfortunately, it's hard to get somebody who's off work, off school, readily available in the middle of the day. So we got the phone ringing. We have so much to talk about with Matt. There's so much going on this week, so much that has happened, and so much that is going to happen. I'm interested to hear his sports update, what he thinks is going to happen tonight. Tonight is the opening game for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the NFL, so that is exciting. We missed Matt. So the Steelers have their opening game tonight, and I'm interested to see what happens tonight, because the Steelers, as we have talked about in this show previously, Pot, right? Pot has gotten in the way. And now, between Pot and injuries, the Steelers are in rough shape. We'll see what happens with that. They are going up against the Washington Redskins tonight. And if you missed the game, the Penn State versus Pitt game, shame on you. What a game. Much better than I was anticipating. Oh, incredible. And one thing that they have going around in the news media, which is kind of stupid. Okay, so Pitt and Penn State, that game drew the largest crowd for a Pittsburgh sporting event. Well, that's because they added new seats to Heinz Field. So it's the first time that they were able to get that many people into that stadium at once. So it's kind of a weird thing to say, oh, this is the most people we've ever had at a sporting event. Well, it's the first time you've had that number of seats. I guarantee you tonight at 7:10 p.m. Wait, actually, they're away tonight, so not tonight. But and then the first Steeler home game, they're gonna fill the stadium again. So let's see. We've got Sunday the 18th. Which is a day before a big event that we have coming up. We have 2 big events that I'm going to announce at 10:35 p.m. Have to stay tuned for that. But let's get real. Sunday the 18th against the Bengals. You don't think that's going to be a sold-out game? You don't think the attendance is going to be high for that game? So, I don't know. I mean, it's true. It's not like it's false reporting, but the way it's presented, it's just like, I don't know. It was a big crowd. You knew it was going to be a big crowd. It's Pitt and Penn State. Even if the younger kids, which they seem to really get into that rivalry pretty quickly, and I always kind of mocked this whole thing that they had going on in the media where, oh, it's a revival of the rivalry. We're bringing back the rivalry. And I'm always like, you can't just bring back a rivalry. A rivalry, to me, is organic. To me, a rivalry is not something that you can force feed. It's something that comes naturally, right? You can't just automatically decide that a rivalry exists. Why do rivalries exist? Rivalries exist because two teams typically live close to one another and they play all the time. And one team ends up ruining a season for another. That's what causes a rivalry. There's a sense of animosity between two groups of people. A lot of times they'll live in areas that don't like each other to begin with. Like you look at the Penguins versus the Flyers, where you have Philadelphia just raping this city of tax money as they build $10 million libraries and we have bridges catching on fire. That's the kind of shit that will add to a sports rivalry. We already don't like each other. It becomes very easy to dislike each other more when you add that element to it. I want to know what your thoughts are on this game. I was going to ask Matt on our sports recap, but I'm not seeming to, I don't seem to be able to get a hold of him. I want to know, do you think that the Steelers are going to lose this game? Everyone seems to be counting the Steelers out because of their injuries and because of the pot smoking. But I don't think so. I don't think the Steelers are out of this. Maybe it's wishful thinking on my part, but then again, I really don't care. I don't care if the Steelers win, so it's not really wishful thinking. I just feel that the relationship, the camaraderie, the way that Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown click, I think that could potentially give the Steelers enough to win this game. I don't think they're going to have a great year. I think some of these games coming up, I think they'll probably lose, but I think they could win tonight. I know, it's not the ideal situation. It's not the ideal situation that they had at the beginning of the year where they had all their pieces in place and you thought that this team was going to be unbeatable. And I'll be honest, everyone thinks that they were probably going to come in number 2 in the conference. I think if they were able to keep the team intact and people didn't smoke that MJ, then I think this team would have won the conference. I really do. I think they would have won the conference. I think they would have been a contender in the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they would win, but I think they would have been in contention, and I think they would have had the number 1 offense in the NFL. Now, that's definitely putting a lot out there because anything can happen. Injuries can happen. It's a crazy league. It's a tough game, but I think they had a good chance. If you missed my appearance, I was recently on another show, Football in High Heels, and that was a good time. Thanks to Sammy Toronto of Football in High Heels for having me on. She's the owner and the host of that blog and program. I'm going to be back on again this Tuesday. We're going to talk about the Pitt and Penn State game. We're going to talk about the Paterno Day coming up. I talked about that a little bit in a previous show, and what a stupid idea that is. But I'm going to talk with Sammy about that a little bit more. She's got another guest coming on as well. That's kind of a fun show. I like how she puts everything together with the Google Hangouts. It's a good time. But I'm looking forward to that. And she lives out at State College, so I'm really going to grill it to her how we kicked their ass. And again, it's kind of like the Steelers where I really don't care. I mean, I want Pitt to win just because I live here, and I don't know. I like Pitt because they have a sense of pride to them, but they don't necessarily have a sense of ego to them when it comes to sports. They have a thing of pride because they do have this great history as an organization, but it's not like Penn State, where Penn State just reeks of arrogance. They just reek of arrogance. It's like you got to hold your nose when you walk in to Beaver Stadium because there's just this arrogance out there. And I don't know. It annoys the hell out of me. I'll be honest. So I was glad they won. I'm hoping they lose on Paterno Day, just because they need to put this to rest. And somebody was all pissy on Facebook, a friend of mine who's a Penn State student, and I understand he's going to support his team, but he was angry and he was upset because Pitt students were saying things like Joe New. They had shirts that said Joe New on it. There was a hashtag going around, hashtag Joe New. And I understand it's in bad taste, but you know what? When your school is sponsoring an event to celebrate a man who helped, I don't want to say helped cover up, but looked the other way for a long, long time when kids were being raped in his facility, then yeah, guess what? You've opened the door for people to say things like Joe New. You've opened the door for that scenario when you do something so audacious, so stupid, so ridiculous. Who in the hell thought that was a good idea? Who in the hell thought that was a good idea? Who thought it was a good idea to celebrate a man who looked the other way during child rape? There's nothing worse than that. There's nothing worse than child abuse in this world. That is one of the few unforgivable acts in this world. And we've got a major university not only ignoring what wasn't done to prevent this, they're celebrating a man who, by his own admission, said he wished he would have done more. I don't get it. It makes me physically sick. It makes me sick. I don't know. It blows my mind that this is going on. It makes me physically sick. Up next, what do we have up next? Oh, up next we have your weird news. So we've got your weird news up next. I don't know what happened to Matt, but I guess we'll catch him next week. You can hear him this Friday. I know he's on his way to Philadelphia, so maybe he's just out of signal. I don't know. But anyways, Steelers tonight. We'll talk a little bit of the recap on Wednesday. But that's coming up. Big game. Starts the season off. I think this game will set the tone for the way this season is going to go. But up next, a weird news story, and this is about a breaking and entering story, a story that is kind of crazy. It's a very bizarre breaking and entering story. Blah. I need sleep. Maybe I'll fall asleep. Maybe I'll pull a Hillary Clinton over the break, and you'll just get more and more music. Who knows? We'll find out. We'll see if I come back. Stay tuned. That's a pretty terrible tease, but a tease nonetheless. You're listening to Pittsburgh's voice for local music, the River's Edge Radio Network. All right, welcome back to the River's Edge Radio Network, and we actually have Matt Gajtka on the phone right now. How are you, Matt?
Hey, I'm sorry that technology hasn't allowed cell phone signal to carry all the way across the state of Pennsylvania, apparently, but I'm here with you. How are you?
I am well, thank you. You would think, yeah, in what is it, 2016, that we would have the technology to make things happen, but to my understanding, America Online is still like one of the major internet providers in this country, so I'm not really surprised. Yeah, it's kind of sad,
wow.
But
are they still sending those CDs out that we get in the mail? Remember
yeah,
those?
Right? Oh, gosh. So, big week in sports, both on the end of things and things to come, with the Steelers starting their season off tonight, and just the recent game with Pitt and Penn State. That game was great. That was actually better than I was expecting. It was a lot of fun, and I didn't know. I knew the old timers would get into this rivalry, but I didn't know how energized the youth would be, and they really came to play, because I never liked that verbiage that people put out there that we're restarting the rivalry. Well, like, you just can't artificially start a rivalry. These things develop over years, and it was exciting to see that it was able to start up so quickly again.
It was really a phenomenon, and I was down there for a little bit prior to the game. I spent the day out of town. I was back home in West Virginia, but I wanted to get a sense for the atmosphere, and you had Pitt flags flying, you had Penn State flags flying, and for the most part, it was relatively civil and good-natured, which was nice to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, though. It's not something that you can just resume. It's been 16 years now. That's almost a full generation, and that's 4 graduating classes if you want to look at it from a college perspective. So it's really something very new for all the students involved, certainly, and even alumni up to the age of maybe even 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole younger generation got to experience that. And there's not a lot that needs to be sold. It's the 2 biggest football programs in the state of Pennsylvania. Of course, Penn State has so many alumni in the Pittsburgh region, and Allegheny
Mm-hmm.
County, I believe, is the county with the most Penn State grads in it
I believe you're right.
in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it makes sense. You have Penn State presence here year round, and of course Pitt too. And heaven forbid the game actually live up to all that hype, and it really did. We didn't talk too much about the actual game, I think, as a Pittsburgh sporting public prior to it. Alan Saunders and I did for a little bit on my show Friday, but even then we were talking more about, what does the rivalry mean, and will it continue on, and all the off-field stuff, the media blackout by Pat Narduzzi and Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
But then once they got on the field, it turned out to be an excellent college football game. They took that huge lead. Penn State threatened to steal it away at the buzzer, and Pitt holds on, which is kind of a running counter to their usual script. It was great entertainment at Heinz Field.
It seemed to me, from my vantage point, and I was at the bar, so I was continually being distracted. Tom Henry from Funny Money was there, so we kept chit-chatting. But it seemed to me that Pitt just that the score in, I don't know if it was just my observation, it seemed like the score wasn't really reflective of how the game went. It seemed like Pitt really just dominated the play for most of the game, and I mean that's just my observation. Again, I was completely distracted. Is that what you took away from it? That it was really pretty dominated by Pitt, and Penn State got their shots in and managed to make a game out of it?
In football, if you're able to run the ball without the other team consistently stopping you, it's going to look really dominant. And that's what Pitt did throughout most of the game. They only threw the ball, I want to say 15 times. Nate Peterman, the quarterback, put it in the air legitimately a handful of times. Most of those passes were little dump-offs and shovels, screens, and things that don't have a high degree of difficulty. So it was all about the ground game for Pitt, a very old-school win in that way, even though they racked up the points and got all the way into the 40s. And I think that made that territorial advantage, the line of scrimmage advantage, that makes things look, in this sport at least, maybe more lopsided than they ended up being on the scoreboard. But give Penn State a lot of credit. Give Saquon Barkley a lot of credit. He's one of the better running backs in the country. He had 5 touchdowns to lead their comeback. And sometimes when you get that large margin, when you get way ahead, Brian, you tend to, it's just human nature. You let off the gas pedal a little bit. And I think that's what happened to Pitt, playing a little bit of a prevent. And don't let the final score and its closeness take away from what Pitt was able to do, because they had everything to prove there. They were the underdog, maybe not in the betting line, but I believe in the eyes of the public and recruits from the area, more importantly for the program, they were the team that had something to prove.
Steelers start their season tonight against the Redskins. Everyone is down on the Steelers, and justifiably so, but I don't feel like they're out of this. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I said on my show on Friday I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals won the AFC North, that Cincinnati has the early half-game lead with the Steelers yet to play, but so extremely early. It's going to take months before we really see this picture develop. I'm with you. I think during preseason, most people were, like myself, down on the Steelers' ability to access their full potential because of injuries, because of suspensions. But there is still quite a bit of talent on this team, and some veteran talent. So it's not going to take any kind of acclimation period for Ben Roethlisberger or Antonio Brown or any of the offensive line, D'Angelo Williams. These are all offensive players I'm mentioning, so that's a common theme. But there are some veterans on the defensive side too. I think they're certainly talented enough to make the playoffs and certainly challenge for another division title. but they have to prove that they can be as explosive as they were last year without Martavis Bryant for the whole year and without Le'Veon Bell for the first 3 games. It'll be difficult, and I wouldn't count on a hot start, and especially starting on the road on Monday Night Football. Tough atmosphere, even though I bet we'll see a lot of black and gold down there in Landover, Maryland. So I felt a bit of a shift this week in terms of people predicting better things for the Steelers. I don't know why suddenly things have gone a little bit positive. Maybe it's just the start of the new season and hope springs eternal and all that. But I wouldn't be shocked if they put together 10 wins or something along those lines. I'm going more 9 or 8. But, we'll have the first bit of that 2016 picture unveiled tonight.
Anything new with the Pirates? I know they keep having their struggles.
Yeah, struggles would be an understatement. And talking to David Freese, one of the new faces and voices in that clubhouse, he's won a championship with St. Louis. He knows what winning baseball is all about. And he's 33 years old, so I think he's feeling like he needs to take leadership reins a bit here, signing that 2-year extension with an option for a third. He told me that he thought the team's recent play has been embarrassing and unacceptable. And I think most of the guys, if not all in that clubhouse, think the same way. But to say it like that and not just say, okay, we have to wash it off and get rid of the next one, it was refreshing for me as a journalist just to hear something new and someone be a little more critical of their play because, yes, this year wasn't their most optimal, and Neil Huntington, the GM, called it a bridge to the future in the offseason. That may have come back to bite him a couple of times in media realms and for the fans, too, that lowered expectations. But
hello, Matt.
And
I think we're losing Matt here.
Team are always a little bit more of a chance to win. So were they going to be a little bit down this year? Probably, but not this bad. Not 2-10 in their last 12, and not a 2-8 homestand. So all those things add up to a lot of frustrated players with 3 weeks to go and 6 games out of a playoff spot. Yeah,
it's crazy. It's going to be it's an unfortunate year for them. I just feel like they had some potential, just the pieces weren't working for them. But all right, anything else, Matt?
That'll do it for me. U.S. Open tennis, I always follow that, and Stan Wawrinka beat Novak Djokovic. Whenever Djokovic loses these days, that's an upset. So some interesting tennis action to close out the season, so to speak. So that's something I keep my eye on. And we have the Ryder Cup in golf coming up. I'll be talking about that on my show maybe next week. But for right now, yeah, it's football's back and baseball winding down, and World Cup of Hockey. Remember, if you like hockey, you can go watch Sidney Crosby play against Evgeny Malkin, Canada against Russia on Wednesday, exhibition game for the World Cup. That'll be fun. And there's some junior hockey. A league I used to work in, the USHL, is having a showcase at Cranberry at the Penguins Complex this week. So really, you have your choice of 3 major sports here in Pittsburgh.
Nice. All right, Matt, thank you very much. Look forward to hearing you on Friday.
Absolutely. Thanks for being flexible today.
No problem.
Talk to you later.
Matt Gajtka of Gajtka's Got Game and DK on PittsburghSports.com. You can hear him every Friday morning, 8 a.m. here at the River's Edge. Up next, we have your weird news and a special station announcement. That's coming up right around the corner here on the River's Edge.
Hi, I'm Mike Storr, host of the Awesome Cast, which you can hear right here on River's Edge Radio. We're talking tech, getting geeky every week with people from Pittsburgh in the industry. Go check us out, awesomecast.net, or listen to us right here on River's Edge Radio, Thursday mornings, 8 a.m. after Funny Money.
So, did you ever think about breaking into your neighbor's house? Like your really rich neighbor, you know, that asshole who has a spotlight on his house just to show everybody how big and bad and full of money he is? Ever think about breaking into that person's house? And if you did, what would you steal? Would you go into the vault, steal bags of money? Would you steal the TV? What about if they have like an outdoor, weather-resistant, waterproof pool table? Those things are pretty cool, right? Maybe you would steal, I don't know, jewelry or something snazzy. Something to get some cash, right? Some quick cash. Well, one man in Massachusetts, in Martha's Vineyard, broke into his neighbor's house, and he didn't go in to steal anything. It took place at 2:30 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon, and the guy broke into the house, and he broke into the house to paint the resident's dog. That's right, he broke into the house and he painted the dog purple. A purple pooch. I don't know. At least he's fun, right? The dog's name was Reagan, and the officers found him with, the guy's name was Reagan. They found him with paint on his pants after he painted the dog. Why would you paint a pooch purple? Poor dog. I feel bad. My sister recently painted her dog's nails. And I always kind of felt bad for the dog. I'm like, what the hell? The dog doesn't want to have painted nails. That's bizarre, right? Who wants that? But she did it. I always wondered why thieves rob from poor people. Like, did you ever notice that? Like, neighborhoods that are run down, poor neighborhoods, they always seem to steal from their neighbors. And I look at neighborhoods around here where you have an area that maybe isn't as well off, and it's right next to a really rich area, a really wealthy area, like literally across a bridge or across the highway from one another. And all of the crime seems to stay in that poor neighborhood. And I always thought, well, first off, you should never steal, and I have very low tolerance for thieves. But if you're going to steal, why would you steal from someone who is poor? That doesn't make any sense. You're not going to get anything good. But that's what people do. I don't get it. It's weird. But anyways, don't steal, kids. Stealing is bad. Just don't do it. It's uncool. Big news here on the River's Edge. Let's see. We got to get our drum roll here. Let's see if this drum roll thing works. Drum roll. 2 big events coming up. That's right. One is going to be on the 19th, Monday the 19th. Your illustrious host, I'm having my 100th episode. That's right. We have been together for 100 episodes here at riversedgepgh.com. The original The River's Edge podcast aired on a February in a small attic closet studio, and we've come a long way. We've got 8 programs now. We're 24 hours a day with the best in Pittsburgh local music, and I'm thrilled to see where we are going to go in the next 100 episodes in the next year here at riversedgepgh.com. Let me tell you, the numbers are good. The numbers are good for this program here. The numbers are good for the station overall. So great job. Keep listening. Tell all of your friends that this is the place to be here at riversedgepgh.com. The second big event, the second big announcement here, and let's see if we can. Oh, there's like a weird the movie. It's changing. Where's my drum roll? Here we go. Drum roll, please. Podcrawl. You may have seen it advertised on the Facebook page. But we are having a big event here in Millvale, right here. We're sponsoring it. We are bringing together some of the best podcasts in Pittsburgh. It's going to run September 30th, which is International Podcast Day, from 6 p.m. all the way up till whenever. 11 p.m. is the official end time, but who knows? Things go crazy. But we've got the Mike Sasson Show to kick things off, 6 p.m. at Cousins Lounge. Drinking Partners of the Epicast Network at 7 p.m. That's right, we're working with other people. 8 p.m., I will be at the Double L, and I'm going to be joined by Ian Insect, one of my best friends in the Pittsburgh local entertainment scene. He's a great comedian and a great actor. He will be joining me at 8 p.m. at the Double L, and then immediately following my show, we have Stephen and Amanda of Bold Nights Out from Bold Pittsburgh. They will tell you what to do on Saturday and Sunday that weekend. They will be at the Double L. And at 9:45, we have our friends from Awesomecast. They will be at Smokey's Tavern, which is right around the bend. And then to wrap things up at 10:45, we have, and I wrote the time down wrong there. It should be 10:45 to 11:30. I put down 11 o'clock, so I'll have to adjust that on the schedule. But we have the Jagoff podcast with John Chamberlain, and that will be in all of his group. Great podcast there from the Pittsburgh Podcast Network, and that will be wrapping up at Sidelines Bar and Grill. So lots of great drinking venues, lots of really, really great shows. It is cannot miss entertainment. So definitely tune in for that. Up next, we're going to end the show on a celebratory note. We're going to give you something to celebrate. And then I'm going to wrap it up for today. Don't forget, the 19th will be our 100th episode. We will be live, by the way. I didn't mention where we're going to be. Wow. See, I'm really, really tired. We are going to be live on the 19th from Needs Hotel. We will have live entertainment, live musicians playing in the breaks. I will be there. We're looking at possibly getting some good guests, but I may be guest-free. I may go the route of having more of just like a conversation with different musicians who show up and talk about the music community and where we are going. And, of course, give you our normal Pittsburgh Moral Compass headlines that are going around the Commonwealth. So we've got lots of good stuff that is going to be coming up on the 19th. I know Jeremy Kaywood said he's going to be showing up, so I'm going to talk with him a little bit. And we have a member, Frank, from The Roof, which is a new band we just added at riversedgepgh.com. So come check that out. But up next, we have something to celebrate here on the River's Edge. All right, it is time for your holiday of the day. Woo! Today, my friends, is National Encouragement Day, so I want to encourage you to keep listening to The River's Edge, to watch Mike Sasson show tomorrow, watch me again on Wednesday, and just watch and listen to all of our great programs here at The River's Edge. You can find us on Google Play, iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook Live, and more. And we've got some exciting things in store for you coming up. So stay tuned to the River's Edge Facebook page and on-demand services to hear some really exciting and cool content. But yeah, today's National Encouragement Day. So I challenge you to encourage your friends to listen to the River's Edge and to become part of the local music scene here in Pittsburgh by becoming our patron on Patreon. If you go to riversedgepgh.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, any page, and you can find a way to sponsor the show that you love. And you can become part of this network and part of the local music scene right there through Patreon. Today's also National Police Women's Day, and I think that's important to recognize, especially a day removed from a very unfortunate anniversary in September 11th. So thank you to all of the great women who are in our police force, and there are a lot of great women in the police force here in the United States. But that's it for me. I'm out of here. I'm getting some sleep. Yeah! I cannot wait. You have no idea. I have just been like literally falling asleep. Like non-stop. It's awful. So, listen to me Wednesday, listen to me Friday, and then come to Needs Hotel, get your drink on, listen to great music, listen to my voice, see me in person, and then see us all in person September 30th at the Pod Crawl. Mike Sasson's on tomorrow, always good stuff from him. I'm out of here. I'm going to bed. Peace out. Maybe I'll get a beer before I go to bed. Visit one of the great establishments we have coming up this September 30th, International Podcast Day, with all of the greatest podcast networks here in the Burgh, all meeting together in one town I don't know if Millville can handle it. I don't know if you can handle it. Prove it by coming out September 30th all throughout Millville with the first official pod crawl. Catch you Wednesday.